Anyway, thank you for coming to this Art and Design Conference. Here are Lee Pasteris, who's a principal and architect with the famed Gensler Group, a worldwide organization, and my friend Ryan Shoshani, creative director of Cultural Development Group, and that group is based in New York, right?
We're actually relocating out to LA. However, the NoMed Design District, which we started, is based out in New York in the NoMed neighborhood, of which I was the project manager and co-founder.
And Lee, what does the Gensler Group do?
Well, Gensler, for you all that
Just
can you
hold
hear
it
me?
close.
Hold it
That aren't familiar with our firm, we're a global design firm. We have 46 offices around the world, and I'm based in the Los Angeles office in downtown LA. So there's 600 professionals in the office, and we have a very diverse practice. We do transportation, we do retail, we do airports, high-rise buildings, and workplace and product design. So it's a very diverse group of designers.
What kind of transport?
Transportation, we are involved mostly in aviation. So we have
You design airplanes?
we design airports. So
Airports.
yeah, locally, one of the current projects that we're doing the midfield expansion at LAX that will be coming online in the next couple of years. And yeah, we do airports around the world.
And do you design a lot of things, or do you have one expertise?
I have, fortunately, most of my career has been with Gensler, and because of the diversity of the project types, have led me to explore different projects. So I have done airports, I've done product design, I've done base building design, but mostly my focus is workplace. So it's interior design, it's building out offices for various types of clients.
Architecture and design are all around us, right? What do we need? We are talking about this because.
Well, I think right now the world of design is very much changing, and more people are coming aligned with the idea of creating these communities, really building places that are organic to themselves, people belong there, people feel welcome there, and that enrich everyone's lives. So what we did with the NoMed Design District, which was a really awkward part of the city, and no one really wanted to claim it as anything. It wasn't Murray Hill, it wasn't this, it wasn't that. If you looked on a map of it, it was almost like a gray zone that no one had a name for. And what we wanted to do was activate the community, and we had a couple of furniture showrooms there, and we saw more and more of them being pushed out of Soho because of the price increase, and the Upper East Side was just too far for a lot of architects and designers that were based midtown and downtown to come to. So we wanted to create an environment that really benefited everyone, and the way we did that was we filled the street with these showrooms, we put in a bunch of art galleries, we did exhibitions, we did a Spanish Masters exhibition with Dali's, Gaudi's, which I'll show later on, Picasso's, and people were just so excited to be part of it. They would take photos there, they'd come have a coffee, they'd come see the exhibitions that were going on. The architects and designers like Lee would be able to save so much time instead of having to go all the way throughout the city. You know, it was almost like a one-stop shop.
You own the whole thing?
No, of course not. That would cost, tens and tens of billions of dollars. We have some property in the area, and then some of the strategic leases that we were there because we had showroom space there, going back for a while. But a lot of it was collaboration with the other local landlords, and more importantly with these big showrooms out of Italy that we brought in and architectural and design practices that moved into the area.
How big is the area?
So it runs about 8 blocks, and it goes a couple of avenues. So it goes between Madison and 28th Street, all the way up to 36th Street, and then goes along to 5th Avenue, and it's growing and expanding.
We have anything comparable in LA?
I mean, you can say West Hollywood to a certain extent, but it's very different. I mean, one thing that we really tried to do was do these cultural activations constantly, which West Hollywood, I don't know if does, or I don't really think so. So we do something called our Design Week activation that we do about 13 parties all on the same night. They run about 4 hours, and architects and designers can see all the new exhibitions that are going on. We organize it, we plan with the city, we plan with multiple different partners, and really create one of the great cultural happenings that the New York Times has even shown in its magazine, and Architectural Digest now calls it its favorite neighborhood as a result.
Lee, do other cities have similar things?
Yeah, I mean, I think Los Angeles is a good example where, I mean, I'll tell the story about our office was located in Santa Monica, and we moved to downtown 7 years ago. And that was when downtown was just emerging, so it was a step forward. And
Usually it went from downtown to Santa Monica.
that's right, exactly. That was the trend, and now it become the reverse trend. So since then, it's really created this synergy of other design firms joining downtown, and then the industries that follow. I mean, Angela's in the audience, and she is a manufacturer that a rep, and a lot of the furniture manufacturers have also located downtown.
How about other cities? Chicago, St. Louis, San Francisco.
Well, Miami has it, and Craig Robbins, who was really the pioneer of doing the Miami Design District, and I think is a true genius. He brought Art Basel to Miami and did so many of these great activations. Really, I think shows and reinforces a lot of the philosophy that Lee and I both have about really creating things that activate the community. And the Miami Design District, I think, is one of the best ones in the world.
What does it do for a city, Lee?
I mean, it creates it really supports our industry. So I think both in interiors and architecture, we have very specialized projects and needs. So we really leverage and use the vendors and manufacturers that supply products for our projects. And that if they are in, a neighborhood or a central location, it really helps support the work we do for our clients.
Now you're going to show us some things like.
Yeah.
So I think these are some of the concepts that we really try and play with. And this was actually something that our New York office sent us.
Mm-hmm.
So there were concepts of how you can have programmatic diversity, which is the cultural activations we were talking about, having high quality design, art activations, good quality food and beverage, authenticity, and really having things that are unique.
And these are some of the design trends that we're seeing in the projects and what clients are wanting.
So this is the NoMed Design District. This is our logo. And sort of what I was talking about before was really establishing a place and giving it an identity. So we really branded the neighborhood and slowly had it evolve into what it is today and what Architectural Digest calls the design community's favorite neighborhood.
And there are living places in these areas, right?
Yeah, so there's residences as well.
Yeah.
All right, what are we looking at now?
So this is a slide, it talks about the Gensler Los Angeles office, and
That's your office.
that's my office in downtown LA, 600 professionals. We have very integrated design expertise, like I mentioned.
Where you got 2 floors?
Yeah, this is 2 floors. I mean, there's a couple of slides in the presentation that show
Did you design
the
it?
office. I participated in this. We also have the picture on the bottom right is also, we have 2 buildings that we occupy. We're in a building that was a bank building. It was vacant for 9 years. So what we did is actually inserted a 2nd floor and a large skylight that brings light into the center. So we outgrew that space, and we connected a bridge to the north high-rise tower to connect two additional floors to support our growth. So we're creating a connected campus downtown.
How much of this is going on around the country?
Not as much as I think we'd like. I mean, I think, and Lee, you would probably be able to comment on this more than I do, a lot of the buildings that go up, I feel like, are very selfish buildings. They don't enforce the neighborhood. They don't help enrich people's lives. They don't do a lot of that. There's these new glass towers that constantly go up, and you can't tell if they're from Shenzhen, China, if they belong in New York City, if they belong in St. Louis. There's things that are inorganic to themselves. One thing that we did when we were developing our own projects was we really tried to keep everything organic to itself. We didn't knock anything down. We kept all the structures as were and really just refurbished them and brought them to life. And I think that the world really needs this more, not just the country.
Lee, why isn't it going on in Boston, Cleveland?
Well,
Phoenix.
I think certain industries drive trends, and I'll use LA for an example. There's a lot of media and technology industry here. So for example, now that you see a lot of the industry of like Netflix and Apple and Google, they're doing more and more productions. So they're driving a lot of the real estate demands. And what they're looking for are campus-like setups that support, all their business needs. They want production space, they need office space. And along with that, they want, the sense of community. They want, a commissary. They want to be able to drop off their dry cleaning, et cetera. We saw that develop in Silicon Valley. And Los Angeles has always been the barometer of that, right, with the movie studios. Most of the major movie studios are located in the city, and they have campuses, and they drove a lot of that innovation.
What did you both think of New York City turning down Amazon?
I mean, I think there's pros and cons with it like anything else. Overall, I think Amazon is a company, and it seems like a more responsible corporate tenant than a lot of other ones. I don't really know the intricacies of the deal, or I didn't really read into it as much.
A lot of jobs that.
Yeah,
But
well, Virginia's gonna win.
Crystal
and
City,
supposedly
yeah.
they're spreading, the rest of the work and, around the country, to their other campuses and facilities.
But one thing that I really want to touch on with Amazon, and this I think relates to a lot of industries, is that there's certain businesses, there's certain tenants, there's certain people that you bring into a community, and it can really have a ripple effect into other people wanting to come in. So I think when Gensler moved to Los Angeles, or to downtown LA, the whole area probably changed right after. You saw probably more architects and designers coming into the area. You saw a different crowd sort of coming in. You saw more businesses open up, restaurants, because all these things have a ripple effect. And there's an interconnectivity that I really like to look at whenever we're doing a new project. And it's something so important to us because it's what really enriches people's lives.
Sure, it's part of our lives every day.
Yeah.
It is, absolutely.
Show us something else.
The clicker isn't working, so this is the cultural development group that we established, and really what we're trying to do and what's so important to us is enriching people's lives and really driving culture as a way of doing that. And what does that mean? Can you go to the next slide? So what does that mean? This is an example of it. This is our DDC furniture showroom that has about 200 different brands in there. And
It's in New York.
this is in New York. This is on 34th Street in Madison, and it's a leading purveyor of high-end furniture design. We do projects with leading companies like Gensler. And when we're establishing a neighborhood, when we're trying to do a project, we really want to think about what does that neighborhood need? How can we enhance it through cultural activations, which means art, good quality design, and more importantly, having people be able to enjoy it. I mean, one thing that we really want to do and one thing that we're really passionate about is making sure that everyone, no matter what type of socioeconomic status, no matter who they are, can come, can see the artwork, can enjoy it, can, really embrace what that community has to offer. And I think every community has the ability to enrich itself.
Lee, how important is art?
Oh, art it's very important. It's,
It's not the masses.
But, I mean, we are artists, right? I mean, as a design professional.
Yeah, you are.
And
But
create the work, but.
People don't collect art, you're talking about.
No, but people experience the spaces that we build, right? So we have the influence of how people experience how they work and, how they live. And it's a very important component.
What's changed the most in your business?
I have to say it's technology is really driving change, both in how we approach projects. We do a lot of research, and 15% of our profits go to research grants within our company. So a lot of the findings from our research drives the innovation on our projects. So we're big believers in research.
Would Frank Lloyd Wright succeed today?
yes, he would succeed today. He was a visionary, and he would use the tools that we use, right, to be able to create the types of buildings and design that, you know, he did, yeah.
That looks like you.
That is me. That is me smiling in front of one of our first exhibitions we did. So this was the Spanish Masters exhibition that I talked a little bit about earlier. What you see behind us is and there's more images that we'll show. Unfortunately, the clicker's not really working, so we're doing this manually. But you see a whole array of art. This is from Salvador Dali, those statues that you see. In the back of me is a contemporary Spanish artist named Arturo Alvarez. And on the other side of it, you can sort of see one of them is by Antonio Gaudi, the world famous architect that really built Barcelona and, you know, changed that whole city and made it one of the most beautiful, I think, in the world.
So there's this in other countries too, right? You
Yeah.
mentioned Barcelona.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I think Europe is a really great example of that, and I think it's one reason why so many people are drawn to it and have romanticized Europe. I mean, when you look at, let's say, Milan, or you look at, you know, Barcelona, you look at Paris especially, what Baron Haussmann did when he was constructing that, you know, he built an environment, and, you know, some people like Paris, others don't, I'm a big fan of it. He constructed an environment that itself feels like a painting. When you're in Paris, it has a certain feel, it has a certain romance to it, it's, you know, the rivers, it's this synergy, it's this interconnectivity, there's so many of the things that we talked about before that are really so organic to it, and I think that's why so many people go there every year.
Sex too.
That too. That doesn't hurt.
The city of love, eh?
That too.
What's next?
I'm planning a trip there myself.
Why isn't it catching on more in America, Lee? I keep going back to that. Why isn't it more in more cities? Let's say Cleveland.
For the design
Centers, yeah.
centers, well, I think it's the population, right? I mean, I think it's more of the larger scale cities and the needs of the design industry. Chicago's a great example. You know, they have a very strong design community. They have an annual show called NeoCon, which, you know, tens of thousands of people flock to the city to review product, you know, to see what's new in the marketplace. So, yeah, I mean, it's really the scale of the city that supports the industry.
What's the research institute?
Well, I touched a little bit upon this, but Gensler has, again, a very strong position on research. And I'll tell a story. I was actually a recipient of 2 grants from the firm, and my daughter was attending Cornell a couple of years ago, and I saw the work that they were doing in both in apparel and fiber science and nanotechnology, and I was so impressed that I asked for a research grant to study high performance fibers. So I worked with some grad students, and you know, we came up with some findings, and my dream is to create self-cleaning fibers. And so that led to a textile collection that I introduced over the last couple of years, and it was influence on athletic wear and the performance. I mean, I'm a runner. You know, you put on your running clothes and you put them in the washer and you put them on again, and you can do it over and over and over again. So my goal is to really create textiles that are long lasting, whether you're in a hotel or at home or in the office. So it gives a lot of benefits of having the time and the money to do some research, to be able to come up with different solutions that we need in our everyday lives.
And I think we can again touch on this more, but really Gensler is probably one of the most cutting edge architectural companies right now in the world. And the innovation you guys do and the creative communities you've built just in this neighborhood alone, I think really shine and, you know, stand for that and have enriched all our lives.
Yeah, thank you.
How would you describe the architecture of downtown LA, Lee?
Well, you know, it has a history.
When I came here 22 years ago,
Yeah.
then nobody went there.
Yeah, I mean, it has a history. It was a financial, you know, driven, you know, Monday through Friday, downtown. And, you know, I've lived here for 25 years too, and it was always going to be, you know, changing. But it's taken 25 years to change. And you see it both with the transportation, right, with Metro has had a great influence on the development of downtown, and it really leads to the urbanization, not only downtown, but to different areas of the city.
Did one person drive that?
Well, it was a city initiative, and
It was,
yes, yeah, absolutely, yeah.
with mayor's support and everything?
Yes, yes. And then you have cultural institutions that.
And the Ritz-Carlton went in.
And then the Ritz came in, the Convention Center, Staples Center, and now you're seeing residential, high-rise residential.
Right.
And the influence of that downtown, to be able to see people, walking their dogs, kids going to school. I mean, it's had a major impact on downtown.
Even within my own lifetime, I remember as a kid going to Staples Center, going to a Laker game. There were, you'd walk a few blocks 15, 16 years ago, and you were really afraid. And now, the whole dynamic of it changed. And I think that's an example of public and private partnership, working with developers, working with city for a common goal.
LA Live.
LA Live, also the arts district there, it shows that you can work with the city and you can work with developers. Profits aren't necessarily a bad thing. America is a capitalist country, and that's, how we drive growth, that's how we innovate, that's how we do things. And when you look at the beauty of downtown Los Angeles and how much safer it's gotten, how much the quality of life there has improved for so many people, how many more art institutions are there, I think that's a shining example of it.
Is Los Angeles an architectural haven?
It's becoming so, yeah. I mean, there are some gems, but along with,
There's
different-
non-gems.
And there's non-gems, yes.
Architects always have opinions. Give me an example of a lousy building.
I'm not going to do that, there's
Why
too
not?
many people here.
Architects always have opinions. Well,
Next.
Frank Lloyd Wright once was asked what he would do to improve the city of Miami. And he said he would level it.
Well said.
Well, as an architect, you're looking always to improve things.
Yeah.
Is there something that you might see daily that to you is an eyesore?
Well, I have to say, we are in a position to look at redevelopment. So even if there is a high-rise building that, it doesn't function to the needs of people and how they work today, we have the opportunity to be able to change that. I mean, I have handfuls of projects where we call repositioning, where we look at how people are using even the ground floor lobby of a building, right? It used to be just a passageway, and now they're becoming an amenity space for tenants, where you may have a coffee shop and a lounge. It could be an after-hour events, etc.
It's
So
all about people, right?
it's all about people, and it's really all about people and how they experience the spaces.
There is no competition for unique.
So this was something that my team and I really thought of, and was something that inspired us throughout our entire process, is to do things that are really unique, that stand within themselves. So what you see here on Madison Avenue is from the outside and then also the inside of one of the showroom spaces in the design district. And the types of collections that you see there, the types of people that are able to come and experience it and really see things that you can't find anywhere else outside of Europe, is an example, I think, as to why it was so successful. It was unique. It was one of one. And I think an example of that isn't so similar in Los Angeles, one building that I love, I know you won't share on one that you hate, but one that I love and grew up going to a lot, right next to my home, was the Beverly Hills Hotel. And it's funny enough, it's the oldest structure in our city. It is, it really has a lot of heritage and history. But one thing that I loved about it is that it's so organic into itself. It's so, it feels like it grew out of the ground along with the orange trees that surround it. And, although it's an expensive place to go eat, it's a little overpriced if you ask me, it's somewhere that anyone can walk in, anyone can appreciate it. It's a public space, it's a hotel. People go there, take pictures, they Instagram it, they share it on media, and it's an example of things that you don't really need to change. Some things.
But it's off the main strip.
Yeah, it's right there off of Sunset.
It isn't like in the center of Beverly Hills.
No, it's not, and I think that's an example of, there's certain things that should stay. I don't think everything needs to be readapted. I don't think everything should be redeveloped. I mean, I think Lee could also touch more on this. I think that there's certain things that need to stay organic and in of themselves. We shouldn't want to make every city look the same. We shouldn't want to make every place feel like another, because then there's nothing unique. There's nothing that stands out of it.
Well, how does the economy affect this, Lee?
Well, I mean, fortunately, we are in some very good economic times, and there is a lot of building and construction going on. So, prices are higher right now for construction, but developers want to build right now. Clients want to expand their business operations because they're doing well. So it's a great economy, and it's a great time to be in the design world.
What happens if it dips?
If it dips, it kind of goes back to, I'll speak about my firm is really having the diversity of different practice areas. So, it's not just one type of work, it's a handful of different types of work. So when one industry slopes down, we can leverage others to, maintain some stability.
Brian, did you need the support of the city of New York?
I mean, I think a lot of it was really having a community that supported it more than the city. Definitely having help from the city was really useful. So for example, the banners that you sort of saw on that page that had my photo on it, that was something that the city helped us get, and it really helped brand the neighborhood. It helped us really establish the place. So it depends. I mean, there's certain things that the city can help with, and it's obviously very useful and supportive. But more importantly, I think it's having the people that live there, having your neighbors, and really having everyone around you support you and want you there.
One of the problems in LA is homelessness.
Yes.
And how does downtown deal with it? How do development communities deal with this?
Well, I mean, it's a struggle, right? The mayor and the city officials are focusing on it. We're partnering with the city. We've done some temporary housing, but it's years in the making. You just can't move fast enough to help solve the problem. There are multiple projects underway. There's been funding and initiatives that have been supported by the citizens.
Tragedy in our time.
It's a big problem. Yeah.
Because you could have a beautiful community and walk one block and see.
Yep. Yes.
I think we need to do more. I really believe, Los Angeles is such a beautiful place. It's such an amazing city, and it's unfortunate to see things like Skid Row. My heart goes out. As a kid, my parents, who are here in this audience right now, would take me there and would really have me see it. And I think it's one thing that really inspired me to really look at that problem and say, hopefully when I'm older, I can be more involved and, help people like Lee and, Planning Commission and City try and solve that problem, because it's something that I think no one should be forced onto the street. The city needs to do more for affordable housing. And actually, my cousin who's here right now, Sean, you want to stand up? He's leading the Ballor movement. And the Ballor movement, you could talk a little bit more about it, is trying to solve this problem right now.
What are you doing, Sean?
All right, putting me on the spot here.
Sure.
I guess when Larry asks you a question, you should answer it. So we have an affordable housing development group. I've worked in the industry for 7 years, and I recently started my own company and working across the country and locally to bring projects to life that have very nice design, are aesthetically pleasing, and also house people who were formerly homeless. So those are some of the things that is the mission.
Do you get a tax break for that?
You do. So there's all sorts of subsidies, and the state of California, for example, provides a tax exemption for partnerships that's structured specifically for affordable housing. So a traditional market rate apartment building would get taxed a certain way, but affordable housing gets the benefits of not paying as much property tax.
Are you optimistic about all this?
I am. The state of California specifically has been putting on, everybody I feel like in the room has heard of the issues, and as these issues become bigger, more funding sources are brought online. So Gavin Newsom has been putting very big words behind, and hopefully actions as well, to what's happening in our state. For example, he sued the city of Huntington Beach for not allowing affordable housing projects to get approved through their planning commissions, and that has hopefully changed the conversation for other cities to push more affordable housing and allow developers to get projects approved.
Was Jerry Brown a progressive governor?
Sherry Brown, Ryan's more into a lot of the different initiatives of governors. I can't speak to different. Ryan, you want to?
I think California is going for it, and I think things are getting better. There's still a long way to go, but hopefully the rest of the country, New York, for instance, that also has a really bad problem, and other cities will more and more be able to solve this problem, because it's something very important. It's something that isn't going to go anywhere unless we take action now, and I think it's something that we should really all rally around within the design media communities.
All right, does anybody have any questions? I don't want to leave you out. Does anyone want to ask anything? The lady.
I think that it's an interesting time to think about communities and co-working spaces and how they've kind of impacted different communities. I wonder if you have a perspective on how co-working spaces like WeWork, who are taking up a lot of real estate and changing neighborhoods, how that impacts what you do.
So funny enough, there's a couple of WeWorks in the NoMed design district and around the area, and they do a couple of things. So WeWorks really sign these long-term leases, and they rent out desks. They give it to different sizes, from larger companies, smaller companies. But one thing that they do, and one thing that I'm really happy that they do, is they bring passionate people that are going into a WeWork, are trying to start a business, they're trying to do something, they're trying to connect with other people. And whenever you have passion in a community, you have an ability to help drive it. You have an ability to really develop the culture of the area. So I think they're great, and it's something that we're looking at doing more and more within our own projects as well.
Anybody else? Nobody has any questions?
Oh, there's a couple hands. Yeah.
So within the city of Los Angeles, where do you think is the greatest opportunity to see a creative community really start building? And we've got the Olympics coming in less than 10 years now, and there's going to be a lot of development happening within the city for that, a lot of infrastructure. Are there areas within the greater Los Angeles, not just actual zip codes that are Los Angeles? So West Hollywood's not really in LA. Santa Monica's not really in LA. When I say LA, I mean everything. Where do you think, if there's any enclaves that are poised to become creative communities, where would they be?
I think that they're all.
Good question.
I think that they're all really different, and I think time will really tell with each one. So you can go ahead and sort of look at what's going on around Silicon Beach, and that's obviously exciting. You could look at what's going around in Hollywood and some of the developments that are going on there. I think a creative community is a really broad term, and each one is very unique within itself. So you look at the Arts District, for example, and what what they're doing over there. That's an exciting thing that's really changed. I mean, Lee probably knows better because she's right around the area, but that neighborhood has dramatically changed, and it's so exciting to see all the creatives coming in there, all the businesses that are there, all the change that's going on.
And I think if you drive around the city or take the light rail, you'll see the impact right now. You'll see Culver City, the residential and offices that are going up along the corridors of the light rail, and that's like the beauty of transportation is leveraging that and the urbanization of those areas.
The planned subway is going to go up through past Beverly Hills. Is that good?
Yeah. I mean it's going through Westwood. I mean, you mentioned the Olympics, and that's part of the drive is to increase the residential housing there at Westwood. That would help support the Olympics, but it's all driven by the light rail. And also, you see areas of West LA, on Bundy and Olympic. There's a large-scale development that's starting there. I mentioned Culver City, and there's Mid-City where you see the light rail making the connection at Crenshaw, to LAX, will be a phenomenal connection for transportation within the
Or if you
city.
could take the train to LAX.
Yes, yes. Yeah, it's going to transform the airport.
I mean, I think having the rail and having another form of transportation is so necessary. Anyone who's really, I think, ever been to LA, the one complaint we have in this amazing city is traffic. And I think having an alternative is really going to be a game changer.
And also the slide is that's up right now is addressing driverless cars and the impact that it's having. You know, we're seeing how ride sharing is impacting transportation and traffic. Driverless cars will really change the real estate. In downtown LA, a lot of residential buildings, there are upper levels of parking garage. It's too expensive to build under. So the city's like complaining, you know, that there's parking structures at the street level, and they're the ones that drove it. So they're really changing the codes so that the base of buildings can be mixed use. They can be restaurants, it can be retail that help support the streets and the people that live in those areas.
I'm Jewish. Do you trust driverless cars?
We will.
Well, why is that in vogue? What's wrong with driving the car?
Because it's technology. It will make our freeways, the throughput for our freeways will be so much more efficient with driverless cars. I mean, we're at like 20% capacity. We can handle 80% more a flow of traffic in our freeways.
How about drones?
They will also have an impact. I mean, you know, I
You're going
read
to be flying all
articles.
around delivering packages.
Yeah, exactly. I was just
I'm
gonna
waiting
say.
for that.
Yeah. Yeah, we use them on projects right now to do photography and videos, you know, to show aerial views, and, you know, showing
I had a
projects under
wild thought, a
construction.
drone crashes into a driverless car. Modern technology on the move. What is this?
So, talking back to your question, these are some of the creative hubs that are really going on in LA, and you know, I think it's really an example of how our city is evolving. I mean, you would never consider this part of downtown LA an arts district. It was really almost an extension of Skid Row, and now it's changed so much. Culver City, and I think Lee can also talk a little bit about a few of the projects that she's doing in Culver City that have changed the whole dynamics of that area.
Yeah, I mean, we're doing Culver Studios. We're developing new buildings for Amazon Studios. I'm sure some of you are familiar with Westside Pavilion, the shopping mall. It's being transformed to office space for Google. There is, this is a picture of Lionsgate. You know, they are, we renovated their space in Santa Monica and they've expanded. So yet there's, we're building buildings for Apple and their production facilities. So, you know, it's really driving those communities that are the tech industry right now.
Very encouraging. I'm
Yeah.
encouraged by all this.
Yeah.
This is dynamic.
Well,
It's good news for the city. You know, there's a lot of opportunities. Another development like in Hollywood is Netflix, and the growth that they're experiencing. So, yeah, we can't build fast enough for them.
I mean, I think, talking a little bit about Netflix and going into the media industry, one thing that's also really important to take into consideration when you're trying to do these communities and when you're trying to do these projects is having also partners in the media community. I mean, I think that is equally important almost because it really helps establish it. You know, when you have partners that really come in and can help showcase it and help broadcast it, it makes such a big change. That's why with CDG, we really always try to have some type of media partners in any of our events and really try and showcase it and create things that are very Instagrammable installations, things that people want to share, because through sharing we could grow, and through sharing we can evolve, and through sharing we can showcase what makes the city so special. Los Angeles was a place that was established because it was shared throughout the world. It was one of the fastest growing cities in the early 20th century because of Hollywood. You know, LA was a small Mexican pueblo, and it grew so rapidly in the early 1900s and all the way to the 20s because with the advent of Hollywood, everyone around the world can see such a beautiful green place. They can see so much geographic diversity. They can see so much light. It was, I did research on this while I was in college. It showcased to the world almost, a picture perfect-esque that they were trying to sell at the time.
San Diego is probably the best city, right? Wouldn't you say? No, let's be honest.
I don't know about that.
What's a flaw in San Diego?
I think it's not LA.
It's got a great downtown.
It's a great beach city.
It's a great city.
Yeah.
It's a nice city, but Larry, you've raised your kids here. You've lived here for a while.
Are you from San Diego?
No, I like where they got Manny Machado today. But I've always thought that San Diego was a little treasure place. Not so little anymore. Beautiful ballpark, beautiful downtown, incredible weather. It's just, and I would imagine they would be doing a lot in this area.
Yeah, hopefully that they do, but again, it's not
I'm
LA.
not knocking LA, I'm just saying San Diego is a very nice, distant suburb.
But they don't have Nate and Al's in San Diego.
No, they don't. Nate Nels is moving.
But
What do you think? No reaction to that? Nate Nels is moving.
oy
Where are
vey.
they moving?
They're moving to where Wolfgang's Steakhouse is on Cannon. And then Wolfgang's is gonna move somewhere nearby, so they'll both still be here. And I don't know what's going in where Nate Nels is on Beverly Drive.
But again, that's also part of a community, having Nate and Al's there. Everyone can go to it, everyone can grow up there. Larry, your kids have probably been there multiple times and they have a nostalgic feeling
Grow up
to
there,
it.
sure, with the little bagels and the rope around their neck. Okay, I have a problem. I have to leave shortly because I got to pick up my son. However, this is very interesting. You're doing a great job.
I had a very good teacher.
Yeah, how many years ago?
8 years ago.
He was at Beverly Hills High, and he said he did an interview show at Beverly Hills High, and would I come and be a guest? And I came and I was so impressed with the television studio and the way you handled it. It was really, and we became friends since.
It's really been a blessing, and I'm forever grateful for that and all you've taught me throughout the years. And Larry, I love you.
In today's society, that is not the best thing to say. An open company. In fact, I have a joke about that. Before I go on, I'll tell you a little joke. This guy's gonna go to prison, and he's scared. He says to a friend, I'm so scared I gotta go to prison. And the friend says, see that guy over there? He just got out of San Quentin. Go over and ask him what it was like. So he goes over and he says, listen, I know you just got out of prison. I gotta go to San Quentin, I'm scared. The guy says, prison's a piece of cake. Mondays, you like good food? Top chefs from America come from all over the country to San Quentin every Monday. They cook for the prisoners and give them recipes. You're gonna love Monday. Tuesday, you like movies? All the new movies, they show on Tuesday all day. And the directors are there. And the directors explain how they made the movies. And the prisoners love it. You're gonna love Tuesday. Wednesday, you like working out? Top equipment from around the country comes every Wednesday to San Quentin. And the top bodybuilders come and the trainers and they work with you. You're gonna love Wednesday. Now Thursday, are you gay? You're not gay? You're not gonna like Thursday. Think about it, folks, it's funny. I really do have to run, but I'll leave the rest in your hands. I know this is not done.
Thank you, Larry.
But I
Thank you so much, Larry.
Thank
Round
you,
of applause for Larry King, everyone!
I'm 85 years old. I don't know how I'm still standing, but I'm very happy to still be able to do things like this, especially for someone as wonderful as Ryan, and great meeting.
Great meeting you, Larry.
The architect
Thank
who didn't have an opinion on a lousy
you.
building.
That's right.
Most architects have opinions on lousy buildings. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thanks,
I think we'll take a couple more questions from the audience if there is any, and then we'll have a few drinks, refreshments, and get to know everyone a little better. Yes.
Yeah, you talked about loneliness or homelessness and traffic as two of the big problems that you're trying to solve and design. A question about social isolation. I work in health, and one of the things you see in public health is that there's an epidemic of loneliness and social isolation, and contributing to obesity and premature death. And I think it's particularly a problem in places like LA, where everyone's driving and stuck behind glass, and there aren't as many big community centers for people to come together organically. Wondering if you guys have any thoughts about the potential for design to alleviate loneliness and social isolation.
You know, it's interesting. I recently saw a 16 Minutes video. I forget his last name. I think it's Massimo Bottura, or, you know, he's a famous chef in Modena. And he built these group theater, or group kitchens, to target the homeless communities within neighborhoods, refugees, you know, all types. And he built such a beautiful place. You know, he's one of the best chefs in the world. And he built these communities that people could really get to know each other, talk about their stories. He would come volunteer, he would cook. I mean, this guy has one of the top restaurants in the world. He's always so busy, and he would spend all this time in these group kitchens, and they were so good that people who weren't homeless wanted to go there and go check him out, and they got to engage with the homeless community and really find more common ground and really address those issues. So I think that's one way that design came into play, food and beverage came into play, and really kindness and compassion, which is more important than anything else.
Well, I think I can speak a little bit to the projects that we do kind of relating to health and wellness. So I think it's very important on our clients' wish list is to be able to incorporate, you know, access to daylight, interconnecting stairs so people aren't just taking the lift all the time, that they're actually, you know, doing their steps. So it's really paying attention to, you know, the quality of light and air, and being able to be physical, you know, within the workspace.
We'll take one last question. Yes, back there.
Do you have plans to expand CDG to other cities? And if not, would you forecast, besides LA and New York,
Good
would you
question.
forecast another city to be rapidly growing and expanding?
Yes, there's definitely a few cities, and you know, I can't really talk into which ones that we're considering at this time, but there are, and it's really much more than just trying to build these communities. It's more about trying to enrich people's lives, and the more people's lives that we can enrich, the more cities we can touch, the more places that we can really help establish and create these activations of art and high quality design. You know, that will be a goal for me. That will be something that I could really, you know, be happy with. All right. Thank you, everyone. Thank you so much. Thank you.
You gotta improvise, right?
Yeah, I think we're good. You want to just